just because I think it would be really nice for him.
We're now picking the team on who would be nice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebellious Noise Football Channel. That's right, this is RNFC. I'm Scott, and I'm joined once again by Dan. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan. What's up? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I could be better because we could have a men's Team GB football team, and we don't, Dan, and that's annoying.
Yeah, I mean, considering how it seemed as though it was going to be a thing at the 2012 Olympics, we obviously had one there, being in London, but. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't see why. I mean,
there's a lot of political issues between the FAs and stuff like that, and they're worried about the FIFA kind of stand-ins and whatever else. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about if there was going to be a Team GB team for the Tokyo 2020, obviously taking place in 2021. You know how this works, guys, because you've seen the Euros. You know, they just don't want to give up on that, Brandon.
We've got 2021. About the Euros, the better.
Hey, you've got a new team to talk about. It's fine. This is why it would be great. But what we're going to do today is we are going to pick who we think could have, should have, however you want to put it, would have.
Should have, would have, could have.
That's it. Going to I was going to say the Euros. There we go. Going to the Olympic Games this year. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a women's Team GB team, but for now we are talking a bit of fantasy land, really. And if there was a men's team, because it would be pretty decent, just looking from what we've got at the moment. So we've got a player pool that we've narrowed it down to so far of 187 players.
Just 187.
Dan has done a very good job there at narrowing it down to 187, and we are going to go a little bit further and bring it down to 22. Now, usually it's 18 for the Olympics, but just like the Euros, they've added extra spaces because, you know, what's been going on in the world. So there's going to be 22 this year. Also, it's usually you're allowed 3 players over the age of 23, but at this Olympics it's going to be 24 because it's unfair to kind of take those 24. Yeah, basically, most of them are under 23 and 3 of them above, but we're going to keep the Olympics are allowing 24, the age to be 24 this year, because it's unfair if the Olympics gets delayed and then suddenly you're not allowed to be in the team. So they're allowing that, and again, the 3 overage players as well. So we're going to be going with that as well. So 22-man squad. We think we're probably going to go with 3 keepers because it seems like that's what is done. Yeah. And we're going to try and keep away from, look, we'd love to put in Harry Kane and players like that. But the fact is, though, it wouldn't have happened in real life. You know, there are some players for some squads that have been in both the Euros and the Olympic team. But generally speaking, they're usually goalkeepers. Even us in 2012, we had Jack Butland, who played for Team GB, but was a last-minute call-up for the Euros. So, you know, and obviously didn't really play there. So, yeah, realistically, they probably wouldn't have allowed Harry Kane to go. Tottenham probably wouldn't have allowed it, whether or not he's going to still be there. But someone would have said no, you know. And then you've got Salah. Salah's not going, and it looks like maybe Liverpool might have said no. But you do get some big stars in the Olympics as well. Neymar got the winning goal to help Brazil win it last time around. So we will be putting in some big names here that we think, and honestly, Dan, there's a lot of great players that missed out on the Euros for all the home nations.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've got like the entirety of like the Northern Ireland team that we can pick from as well. Obviously, none of them went to the Euros. You know, I think for the Scotland players, it's a little bit easier, I guess, because there'd be more chance, I guess, that some of them could have gone because obviously, you know, they finished the Euros slightly earlier than the other home nations. I think, you know, on a whole, with the England players, it's obviously trying to, you know, there's plenty to choose. I mean, even when I had to try and do my my videos on the who would have gone, like my 26-man squad or wherever it was, you go back and check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, I mean, even with that, it was so hard to like narrow it down. I mean, even like right back alone, there was probably about 7 or 8 names you could have chosen from there. So,
which is good for us because some of them, like you say, didn't get to go. And yeah, there are, like you say, maybe we could sneak in a Scotland player here or there that went. I'd love to put Tierney in, for example. But realistically, this team would have been signed, sealed, delivered before the Euro started. So, you know, no matter when teams got eliminated and how often people played, they probably wouldn't have been allowed to go anyway. But so we're not going to work with those kind of players. We are going to work with people that didn't really go to the Euros. And yeah, like we said, 187 players. We're going to narrow it down to 22, with 3 of those players being over the age of 24. Let's do it, Dan. And we'll see how far we might
just to confirm, any player born in 1997, so are the age of 24, are in, yeah? Cool.
Yeah.
So, if we want to go goalkeepers, I mean, I've got 4 on my list.
Right.
So the 4 I've got are now. We said about not putting in players that would have gone the Euros, but I've put in Dean Henderson because he would have been I think it was either injured or COVID for the Euros.
Right.
So then he would have been available, and at 24 fits in. So my keepers would be Dean Henderson, Bailey Peacock Farrell, who is the Burnley number 2 and Northern Ireland number 1. And then either Aaron Ramsdale, who obviously went to the Euros with England but didn't play, or Connor Hazard, who plays for Celtic.
So this is the thing as well. So Ramsdale wasn't going to the Euros. So just like in 2012, he probably realistically could have been picked for the Olympics, and it would have been up to England and the Olympic team to decide whether or not that was okay. So I'm going to say Ramsdale probably would have gone. So I'm going to put, for me, I would put Ramsdale in there. Another big name that you haven't said so far is Nick Pope. Now the injury, would Nick Pope would have been okay by this point?
See, he was on the list, but I'm not too sure whether he would have been fit by now.
Right. But is it a later stage thing, like with England, where we brought on Henderson and Maguire, you know?
See, for me, the reason as well that I didn't, because I mean, some of the keepers on my list, I'll just go through a few of them. So Jack Butland, obviously, who played in 2012, another one. Then we had like the 2 boys from Southampton, McCarthy and Forster, Joe Hart. The only reason I guess I didn't pick any of those is because I wanted to try and use my overage players late, like in the defense, midfield, and attack positions.
Yeah, I guess
so that's why I'm thinking
an overage
goalkeepers.
Yeah, if you use an overage as a backup or a third keeper, you're kind of wasting your overage spot, aren't you? So, and especially if Pope was definitely, we knew he was going to be fit, like with Brazil, Dani Alves was injured, didn't make Copa America, but he's ready, fit, and available for the Olympics. So Brazil have gone that way with it, and I think we will do a bit of that. But I think, like I just said, I don't think it's wise to do your second choice or your third choice keeper being that overage coming back from injury thing. So yeah, for me, Aaron Ramsdale goes in. And who are the other ones you were saying?
So I said Dean Henderson.
Henderson didn't go, but he would have, because realistically, this squad would have been announced, and Henderson would have to take someone's space to get back in it because he would have been the sure thing for the Euros.
Maybe keep him out then. I mean, I've got a few more goalkeepers on the list as well that we can.
Okay, let's go with. From. I don't mind going Connor Hazard because of from Celtic for Northern Ireland representative there as well. I don't mind going with that if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
And the third one, did you say Bailey Peacock Farrell for yours?
Bailey Peacock Farrell. So is Burnley and Northern Ireland.
Let's do that because let's stay away from all the heavy over 24s in this area, I think. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, getting on to the next positions, I guess we've got to decide how many we want to go.
And it's obviously keeping track as well of how many we've got. So we've got 3 so far. We're doing well.
So we've got 19 left, right? So should we go? I know it's not going up the pitch. Should we go all the way to attackers because you probably have less of them? I'm not sure.
See, what I would do is, I mean, maybe go through. So like 2 right backs, 2 left backs, maybe.
All right, yeah, let's do it like that then.
Cool. So for me, I've narrowed my right backs down to 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I've narrowed them down to Tarek Lamptey from Brighton.
Right.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Man United.
Yeah.
Max Aarons from Norwich. And a man who, again, unluckily missed out on the Euros, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka was definitely in my squad. Trent is the one I was hoping we'd be bringing back out of an injury because it was 6 weeks, right? From when he got injured. So obviously the Euros was about a week away then. The Euros lasted for about 4 weeks. So around this time, he should be all right. And even if he wouldn't have played the first few games. But again, the same argument, though, for Henderson. Would he have been thrown back in? But this is made up. It's make-believe. Yeah, he would have. It's fine. Trent's going in. So, yeah, I'm fine sticking Trent now. I think already the squad's going to start looking tasty from some of these names. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else at right back that I would have gone with.
So, I mean, I'm just going to quickly have a look through the through the list of who we've got. There's so many as well. I mean, obviously we've got players that can play like right back and centre back as well. So we've got Mason Holgate from Everton's another possibility.
You could even Callum Chambers.
Chambers
go over into right back.
He'd be like in the overage section at 26. Rob Holding, Matty Cash. Matty Cash from Aston Villa. I mean, we've got plenty of choices there, but I just feel as though it's whether we feel that he would be fit at the time. Trent. So I mean, Lamptey has had a really good season with Brighton. Max Aarons has had a great season with Norwich.
Yeah. Now, for me, I think it has to be Wan-Bissaka and Trent, because I know Trent's a bit of an awkward one because he would have been named in another squad and they'd probably have to kick someone out. But I'm going to say someone here would have got ill and they would have kicked him out. So I think you have to put Trent in. If Trent ain't go to the Euros, he's got to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best way to go.
And Wan-Bissaka was very unlucky to miss out as well. It was a strong England team.
And
might not won it, but it was a strong team.
And the right back berth as well. Like, you think he took 3 already, so he was basically 5th. Probably would have been one of the 5th choice right back. So, they're the 2 that I've got for right back. So my 4 for left back are Ryan Sessegnon from Tottenham, Brandon Williams from Man United, Tyrick Mitchell from Crystal Palace, and Jamal Lewis from Newcastle.
I would say, I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that would give.
So Jamal Lewis, obviously 23-year-old Northern Irish and Newcastle right back, played also for Norwich previously. Mitchell's had a great season at Crystal Palace, taking that left back spot, making that his own. Brandon Williams, he's not played a lot for Man United. He's been pretty much.
But you are a Man United fan, so that's how he's got in.
have to name him there, as a left back, and is a player I reckon that they probably would be naming when they do something like this.
Right.
And then obviously
because a lot of it is youth as well, Yeah,
exactly. I mean, because you think if I'm going through the ages of these, so Mitchell's only 20, Williams is 20, Sessegnon's 21, Lewis is the old man of the lot at 23. So, I mean, just to put it out there as well, all of my overage players that I've got. Oh, sorry, there's one overage player that I've got that's a left back and also plays in centre midfield, and that's Graham Shinney, who plays for Derby, Scotland, formerly of Aberdeen as well. Really good player as well, actually. So that's another one. But most of my my 2 other overage defenders are both centre backs. So
the thing is, we got a lot of. I think we have a better shout for centre backs here than we do for the right and left backs. But with that in mind, I think Jamal Lewis is probably a good shout. I'll let you pick the other one.
I'll go. You know what? On the season he had, I'm going to go with Tyrick Mitchell.
Okay.
I think he's had a really good season with Palace, so deserves a place in the team.
And who are we going? I mean, how many are we going with centre back? We're going with 4.
Right. So let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that'd be 11. Yeah. So 11.
We can always go back and add another position if we
have,
can't we? So
that's true. So I've narrowed my list down here. My list I've got here are Joe Gomez, who should be back from injury. Ben Godfrey,
another one of my picks.
Ezri Konsa from Aston Villa.
Right. Yeah.
Fikayo Tomori.
Yep.
Then I've got and this is where it gets kind of interesting because I've put Ethan Ampadu, who is obviously played at the Euros with a West team.
Yeah.
Japhet Tanganga from Tottenham.
Yeah.
And then 2 overage names that I could throw at you are Johnny Evans and Eric Dyer.
Okay, right. I didn't think of those overage names. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I'm thinking Holding and Chambers in there as well. Michael Keane, I think, would have a good shout. Cresswell, Johnny Evans. There's a lot of good, like. And we're going for 4, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there's also Axel Twanzebe, but he's not played enough for me.
I think Joe Gomez has got to go in.
Yeah.
Who else?
Ben Godfrey, we said.
Yeah, Ben Godfrey.
I'm very unlucky to miss out on the England squad. I think Konsa as well. Konsa had a really good season actually alongside Mings for Villa as well. He was like the underrated player of those.
Let's put Konsa. And then I think, even I'm an Arsenal fan, I think Eric Dyer. I think that would be good.
And also can fill in a defensive midfield position, and can also, if needed, fill in at right back. So
yeah. And what's his age?
Eric Dyer is 1 moment, please. Eric Dyer is, where is he? He is 27.
27. Our first overage.
And or if we went for Johnny Evans, he would be 33. I mean, a couple more overage names I can throw at you
as well.
He's another one. He's 28. We've got Jamal Lascelles from Newcastle as well. Lewis Dunk from Brighton. Murray Wallace and from Millwall. Liam Cooper from Leeds. Craig Cathcart from Watford.
Okay. But I think the 4 we got. Yeah, Gomez, Godfrey, Konsa, and Dyer.
Eric Dyer, yeah. We'll put him in as the final one.
Yeah. Pains me, but yeah. No, I think Dyer is one of those players that, like, I don't know, like, he can, like, Southgate loved him for a while, so, he can do a job. He can also mess that job up, but he can also do a job. So, I'm not going to be too harsh on him, especially being, just because I'm an Arsenal fan. But I think Dyer would get in this squad, basically. If it happened for real, Dyer would be in this squad if he's not in the Euros, So
yeah, definitely. To be fair, I think he would probably have a shout of captain in the squad, actually, like from the experience and stuff. Like, you look at the
it's a big part of our 2018
gigs.
Yeah, it's a big part of our 2018 squad. We can't deny that,
And captain the full England team as well at some point. So
I'm happy with that. Okay, so that moves into we're already starting to leave behind some great names, and the common theme seems to be they're great names over a certain age as well. So it's I think it's going to get tough going forward because not only are we leaving out names in certain positions, but we're leaving out names because now we've only got 2 spaces left for that overage kind of quota as well. So midfield, how do you want to do this?
So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 normal names and 3 overage names on my list. So how many have we got so far? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I would say, so we've got 11 to pick. So I'd say maybe 7 midfielders and 4 strikers. Does that add up?
Yeah.
So it's either that or we go with 8 midfield and 3 strikers.
I think. Well, we can always change. Let's say for now 7 and 4. Let's say 7 and 4 for now, right?
Do you want me to throw you my list again?
Yeah. It doesn't really matter where they play for some of these, does it?
Depends what formation we're going to play, mate.
But again, okay, let's go.
Flex appeal, isn't it? Flexibility. So I'm going with midfielders. Emil Smith-Rowe from Arsenal. Mm-hmm. Curtis Jones from Liverpool. Mm-hmm. James Garner, who had a brilliant season on loan at Nottingham Forest, on loan from Man United. Dean Campbell from Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. Eberici Eze from Aston Villa. Mm-hmm. James Maddison from 100%. Leicester.
Yeah.
Joe Willock had another great season on loan at Newcastle from Arsenal. And if we did pick players that have gone, Scott McTominay, I think, would make the midfield.
Yeah.
My three overage names are Jesse Lingard, James Ward-Prowse, and Dele Alli.
Oh, it's getting tough. Yeah. Okay, I didn't expect the three to be that good because I was looking at it and I was thinking, yeah, Dele Alli. And then when you said Lingard and Ward-Prowse, two guys who are very unlucky to miss out in the Euro squad for England.
I mean, other names on my other names on the overage list potentially were James Milner, Mark Noble, Robert Snodgrass, John Joe Shelby.
No, you know what?
Charlie Adam.
I think Noble has to go in. I think Noble's been such an amazing player for West Ham, such a leader to lead his country in a way that he's never got to do before for England. No, man, I think Noble's got to go in, man.
Yeah.
I just think he's the kind of character you want around a young team. Right.
Be happy with that.
But I really like some of the other people you've left.
But then, so I mean, the thing is, we could go with two overage midfielders.
Okay, I'm gonna have to sneak peek the forwards and see who's overage there.
So the two overage forwards I've got, I've only listed two overage forwards, and they're Jamie Vardy and Kyle Lafferty.
But looking at it though, we've also got Deeney, Ollie Watkins, Ryan Fraser, Danny Ings,
Mikel Antonio, who could also go in the midfield section as well.
Yeah, and obviously they're towards the end of parts of their career, but Danny Welbeck and Theo Walcott as well, great players that you'd love to have around. And they're kind of like swan song in international competition, potentially.
I mean, and to be fair, like even like the normal, like normal aged players for this tournament, like names that we've not even mentioned, like Tom Davis. Who else was there that's on there? Yeah, Tom Davis, Grady Diangana had a good season. Kieran Dow had a good season.
You know what? Looking at this as well. And I don't want to end up being that way, being an Arsenal fan, picking so many Arsenal players. But there are so many Arsenal players here with quality. It just shows how just off the mark they were to get in the England squad. It's crazy that we're looking for it. Chambers, Holding, Nketiah, Nelson, Maitland-Niles, Smith Rowe. Big parts of the Arsenal squad, and some of them have been around the England setup, but just understandably weren't picked, over other players. It's mad looking at it as an Arsenal fan, seeing how many Arsenal players are in this kind of player pool. Right, let's go back to midfield. Dan, I kind of want to take Dyer out now, but I don't know who else in central defence to put in his place, just because the quality in overage players. You can make the same argument for a lot of them, experience and done it on a big stage and all that. I
mean, if we do take Dyer out, then I feel as though the obvious replacement would be for Kyo Tomori. I think he's had a brilliant season at AC Milan. I think that's the way you go.
Let's do that. I feel bad, Dyer, man. I brought you in, but I took you back out. But it's just because I just think Noble. I think Noble's got to go. Like, just because I think it would be really nice for him.
We're now picking the team on it would be nice. Be nice for Eric Dyer to go to Tokyo as well. I can have a nice holiday to Japan.
But there's a few places in Japan that do pie and mash, so it'd be nice to see Noble out there trying it. I know that's a weird thing. People might not expect that, but check out Pie and Mash Off. Pie and Mash Off. Yeah, check it out on our food channel, Our Own Tastes. But yeah, man. I want to put him in. All right, for definites, right? Midfield, right? We're doing how many? 7, was it?
Yeah.
I'd say it has to be Smith Rowe, Noble. Again, I'm leaning on the Arsenal stuff, but that's just simply because we didn't make it to the England team. I think Willock. Maitland-Niles didn't have a good season, but a year ago I would 100% put him in it, and I would have had him knocking in the door for England.
I think Joe Willock, the way that he literally dragged Newcastle the end of last season, he was different class. And I think am I right in thinking he's going on loan to them again this season?
Rumours, yeah.
Yeah.
But James Maddison, a definite as well for me.
for purposes of this, we're going to list him as an Arsenal player. And James Maddison.
And then, like you said, there's a lot of people that, you know, have gone to the Euros. Obviously, Saka, Bellingham, Phil Foden, Jadon Sancho, Rice, Mount. That all would have fit into our under 24 as it is this time round quota.
Yeah. So yeah, who else is there? Dan James, David Brooks, Harry Wilson, Joe Morrell,
Harvey
all with
Barnes,
they're all with the Wales team.
Yeah.
Scott. Obviously, I mentioned him already. Scott McTominay, David Turnbull as well. He's with Scotland at the Euros. Then we've got, who else is there? See, I think Curtis Jones has done well at Liverpool as well. I mean, I'd maybe like to stick in Dean Campbell, 20-year-old young Scottish player, and also the fact that I don't think we've not got a Scottish player in here.
I was going to say the same about Welsh representation. How much Welsh representation have we got? None?
In total, 0.
Oh, no. It's very England heavy, but we can't deny that England have the better players, especially in their second kind of tier, because like all the best Welsh players went and all the best Scottish players, just like England, but England still have a lot of players that could have gone. Whereas, I don't want to be rude, but you know what I'm saying? We're trying. We want representation here, guys. But it'd be much better if they didn't qualify for the Euros. Much like when Aaron Ramsey went. Much like when Giggsy went. You know, like,
To be fair, the Scotland players would probably turn around and say, "Nah, sod you, we don't want to represent.
Yeah, much like
represent you guys anyway."
Yeah,
so
I guess.
I mean, if
we've
were
got to have some
gonna
representation now.
Yeah, I mean, so I would see the thing is as well, you've got Billy Gilmore as well, who I feel is going to be an incredible player like in a few years. And, you know, I think we could get away with maybe one or two. But
from the Euros?
From Scotland, at least, yeah, because they went out in the group stage. Sorry, Scotland.
Yeah, let's see. We're being nice to Scotland. We're shoehorning it. We're breaking the rules to get more Scottish players in. But then if we do that, why would we not do some of the other big names from Scotland?
So we could do, so fitting into the age bracket, we could realistically do Scott McTominay from, McTominay. We could even do Dan James from Wales, David Brooks from Wales. But then obviously we've got the England boys, David Turnbull as well.
You know what? I think we're going to have to be strict, man. We're going to have to be strict with it, because if we don't, why would we not put in Bellingham? We didn't play that much for England. Why would we not put in Aaron Ramsey? Do you know what I mean? Or Gareth Bale. So we're going to have to be strict with it. It's annoying. Okay. But we do need representation.
I'll make so let's see. We've got, if I go through the list of players that we've got representing Northern Ireland, I've got Ethan Galbraith from Man United. I've got Northern Ireland, we've got enough, haven't we? So it's Wales and Scotland.
Well, we've got one. I wouldn't say enough, but yeah, we've at least covered them.
Well, no, we've got.
But I really want to get a Wales and a Scottish.
Well, no, from Northern Ireland, we've got 3 so far.
Have we?
Hazard, Peacock Farrell.
Oh yeah, we have, yeah.
So.
Oh wow, yeah, we definitely got enough for that.
Right. So all right. So Wales-wise, we've got Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. We've got Dylan Levitt, but obviously he went to the Euros. We've got, who else is midfield? That's it from Wales in the list from midfield-wise. Scotland-wise, midfielders, we've got Lewis Ferguson from Aberdeen, Dean Campbell from Aberdeen, Michael Johnston from Celtic. Ross McCrory from Aberdeen, Greg Docherty from Hull. And then obviously you go to the overage players.
Yeah.
You've got on the overage list, there's Kenny McLean at Norwich, John Fleck at Sheffield United, Tom Kearney at Fulham, Matt Ritchie at Newcastle, Robert Snodgrass at West Brom, fantastic player, Charlie Adam at Dundee. And then if you could even make a pitch for Ryan Fraser being a midfielder to fit in there as well. Then obviously Wales-wise, overage Welsh players we've got in the midfield. There's Joe Allen from Stoke.
but then we're going to lose up some really good overage players. I mean, the fact is, we're looking at a squad. There are better overage players that come from England. Like, it's the like Lingard. I'd rather have Lingard. Maybe.
So far, we've got 3 midfielders so far. So we've got 4 more to choose.
And how many overage have we got?
Now we've taken out Eric Dyer, 0.
Oh, Noble as well. Put Noble in.
Oh, Noble, Mark Noble.
So we've got Noble.
Okay.
So 4 midfielders, 1 is overage.
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna have to go more overage then. Let's do Charlie Adam.
Charlie Adam at 35 years of age gets the call up. I'm happy with that. Charlie Adam playing for Dundee now. Well, there's Scott Brown as well, who's
actually
big.
Yeah.
Big, although I would make a pitch as well for Robert Snodgrass, because Robert Snodgrass is decent. Good set pieces as well.
Okay, so we've gone with Charlie Adam. What about Welsh representative? I mean, I feel bad, but it's like, but if they're not, we've got to pick the best team.
The only Welsh,
go on.
I've got on my list, Joe Allen is the only other one I've got on my list here. Strikers, I've got Tom Lawrence from Wales. But then there's a couple of decent Welsh strikers that we've got. That I mean, there's Rabbi Matondo, who plays for Schalke, who apparently is meant to be the next big thing.
Right, that'll be our Welsh representative then, because again, we've got to remember a lot of it's got to be about youth as well. Okay, yeah, right. So let's go back to this. So that means that keeps us with.
So we've got Smith Rowe, Willock, Maddison, Noble, Adam so far. So we've got 5 names there. 2 more to pick. But then we got to think, do we go with an overage striker, which, as I say, on my list, I've got Jamie Vardy and Kyle Lafferty. But then there's quite a few on there. Or do we go with the young strikers, of which there are still quite a few?
Right.
And then go
when I first saw your list,
midfielder.
One of the first people on my sheet was Jamie Vardy, right? But realistically, in the real world, he has said to England that unless he's needed, he's retired from international football. Now, maybe the chance to play in the Olympics, something that most footballers, especially from our country, don't get to do, might sway him. But we don't know his reasons for kind of stepping down, So maybe, as much as I would love Vardy to go in, maybe we leave Vardy out of it, because if he ain't going for England, is he really going to be tempted by the Olympics? I don't know. Maybe. Depends on the person, the player. I would be, but then again, I wouldn't have took myself out of contention for England either. So it's hard for me to kind of judge that. So part of me wanted to keep an eye on an overage player for Vardy, but I wanted to let that go because I think realistically he might not have accepted it anyway. So with that in mind, I'm happy with putting our 3rd overage player also in midfield.
Yeah.
Which gives us quite an age in midfield though.
But then you got to think Lingard and Ward-Prowse, who are both on the peripheries of the England squad.
And for Southgate, it was probably Ward-Prowse because he got closer to it, but that could be down to who he had to take out of his squad.
And Ward-Prowse is only 26. You got Dele Alli, who's 25. Lingard at 28. Potentially.
Lingard was so good for West Ham.
He was incredible for West Ham. One name that I do want to put in there, though, as another underage or normal age midfielder would be Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. I think he was superb for him in his debut season as well. So that would be one more that I'd give a shout to.
Okay, and how many spaces have we got?
At the moment, we've got 2.
And I know I'm trying not to let it to be my Arsenal bias, but I think not having Maitland-Niles in is damaging. Because I think other than the season, these weren't that great this season.
I think that's what I'm mainly trying to base it on is how they played last season. So like
the season before, 100%, I would have said.
Yeah, like if they'd have,
a big part of our squad. So.
The thing is, it's like you look at the England squad as well that went to the Euros. It's like how different that would have been if it had been in 2020. Like you think some of them players wouldn't have even gone.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I mean, so let's get this overage one sorted out. I'd probably say it's down to, although we've got quite a few names on the midfield list, it's probably down to Lingard, Ward-Prowse, and Ali.
Yeah, I think for me the first one to go from that is originally when I saw Ali's name, I was like, yeah, Ali definitely. But then you think, no, Lingard and Ward-Prowse got closer to the England squad for a reason. So for me, Ali goes first.
Yeah. The other two, for me, it's a coin toss for me.
It's why they missed out as well. You think, like, why it was upsetting that they missed out, right? Or disappointing, or however you want to say it, right? It's disappointing that Ward-Prowse missed out because he's so good at set pieces and he's a fairly young player compared to, compared to the other overage players, you know, who stuck a 35-year-old on our team.
Played every minute of the last 2 seasons for Southampton as well.
And then you've got Lingard who misses out, and it was disappointing because he had fought his way back into contention, you know? You know what? I'm going to go Ward-Prowse because Lingard has had his time to shine in an England shirt. It was very disappointing on his behalf and for a lot of people as well, you know, that he didn't get into the Euro squad. But Ward-Prowse hasn't really had that, you know? So I think he's going to go there with more to show and not a chip on his shoulder, but like show what he can do at an international tournament. We're not playing for Southampton. And I think it'd be a great experience for him. It'd be really good for Lingard as well, but I think we might get more out of Ward-Prowse and just those set pieces and things like that. I think, it's never a bad idea to have someone like that in your squad.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Ward-Prowse, I think, even in my, if I was looking at the Euros, I was honestly surprised that they didn't call him up as soon as Trent got injured. I thought he would be the name that was going to be coming up to the squad straight away. But because the thing is, the man that they replaced him with, Ben White, I don't think, did he play at all? I don't think
he played, yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, Ward-Prowse, I think, would have been one of those players at the Euros. I mean, it's obviously hindsight looking back, but would have been one of those midfield players that would have got us playing more forward attacking football. But yeah, and obviously the set pieces as well. I think, that just edges it for me. I mean, although, Jesse would be great for morale around the dressing room and the laughing and joking, it's like, I think Ward-Prowse has definitely got to be in there, I think.
Yeah, unlucky Lingard, you missed out 2 squads very, very narrowly again. But yeah, I think.
Sorry, Jesse. You can be on our standby list. There we go.
So right, cool. Mate, imagine how hard it'd be if this was 18.
Yeah, hard enough as it is. So we've got one more to pick. So I've got on my list, it's either what was his name? So it's either Dean Campbell from Aberdeen. I've got Curtis Jones from Liverpool, Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
is the other one I've got on my list.
I'd say Curtis Jones.
Go Curtis Jones from Liverpool, yeah. I feel as though he's definitely stepped up in that midfield, especially when Henderson was out injured for a majority of it. So
yeah, and he's part of a big team as well. So
he's only going to learn from the players around him, and especially you look at the midfield that we've got here. Someone like Curtis Jones, will only learn from Mark Noble, Charlie Adam, and James Ward-Prowse as well. So
yeah, we're having those overage players in there for a reason. So okay, cool. Obviously, as well, another big name is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Rumours recently about him possibly switching to Ghana, but that hasn't been confirmed by either Ghana or the player himself. So we would still keep him in contention here. But what are you thinking about him? 20 years old, big name at a big club. Does he fit in?
Yeah. For me, I don't think he's played enough this season to kind of warrant it. I think, I think the names that that we're going to go with. Like, obviously, we've got Smith Rowe. I think he's had a brilliant season for Arsenal. Willock had a great season at Newcastle. Maddison, obviously, everyone knows his quality. I think there would maybe have been an argument for maybe him or Curtis Jones, but I feel as though Curtis Jones, you know, for the amount of games he's played at a big club and how well he did in that midfield, I feel we've got the right choices there. But yeah, you know, it's unlucky for Hudson-Odoi. But yeah, I think hopefully if he has a good season now, then he could be well in contention for the World Cup in 2022. So,
or our next Team GB squad.
In 4 years' time. So
yeah, well, it'd be 3 years, wouldn't it? Much like the Euros. It would just
true.
normal.
So he could be.
He'd still be.
He could be one of the underage players, just about.
There we go.
So.
Right, and we'll see how he's playing by then. But who knows? Maybe we'll have a squad by then. That'd be nice. Right, moving on to the forwards, to the final four. Does that add up with maths?
Mate, you know what I was like at maths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If my maths is correct, that's 18 names so far. So we've got 4 to go. Did that all by myself. Didn't need to use a finger to count at all. So,
all right. Well, we've already said when we were doing the last one, Ravi Mantondo from Schalke. We'll get him in there as a young Welsh representative. So that leaves us with 3 more strikers, none of which can be overaged. So that rules out, like we said earlier, your Welbecks, your Walcotts, your Deeneys, your Vardys, which is Ollie Watkins, which Ryan Fraser. It hurts. Danny Ings. It hurts to let them go. Especially when I look at someone like Deeney, you know, I think he'd be great, but
also rules out players that played at the Euros. So the likes of Tyler Roberts, who represented Wales, Marcus Rashford, Dominic Calvert-Lewin,
and Che Adams. Yeah,
Che Adams. I mean, Che Adams was on my list actually for obviously for the Scotland thing, but you know, obviously we can only go with without them.
I'm gonna go Abraham.
Yeah, he's on my list. So I've also got on my list Dwight McNeil from Burnley. I feel as though he's had a really good season as well with them. Keenan Davis from Aston Villa, and Adam Armstrong as well. Blackburn. He's had a decent season there. Potentially as well, we've got Ollie Burke from Sheffield United, who you know, he's done okay for them. He's 24, Scotland player as well. But yeah, I think for me, McNeil is probably the main one that I'd have on my list.
Okay.
I only picked 4 strikers, and then the other one was obviously Che Adams, but obviously doesn't make it because he's in the Scotland team. But then it's, you know, are there any other young English strikers?
Well, for me,
this is why we should have only picked. I think we should have only gone with 2 overage ones for the midfield, because I mean the ones that I've got.
I mean, Nketiah. I know again Arsenal bias, but he's England's record underage goal scorer. I don't think he has to go. I think for me, first name on that sheet. Like, he hasn't had a good season he hasn't done much for Arsenal lately, but for England, he's still banging them in. He is he beat who was it? Alan Shearer's record. So, I think it's got to be Nketiah. He's got the most goals at you know, in the youth setup for England in history. I think, and he's still that young age. So for me, Nketiah has to go.
How old is he? 22, flipping heck.
Yeah, and then I think Tammy Abraham as well. I think big name, big club as well. You know, much like earlier we were talking about Hudson-Odoi, but I think Tammy Abraham has been a bit unlucky at times at Chelsea. So yeah, I think Abraham would be really good in this side. So I'm fine with strikers. I know what you mean. Like, there's some great overage players, but I really would be completely fine with these strikers. I think you could see, all right, maybe it'd be the second choice. and maybe it depends on England. But if Arsenal and Chelsea went up against each other and Abraham and Nketiah were playing, it wouldn't be that out of
battle.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be that strange to see. So I think they're big enough names. And then the last one, who do you want to go to the last one? Brewster as well.
Yeah, see, the thing is, as I say, I'm going on like last season. I don't think Brewster's had a very good season, but I think McNeil's a good option. See, the name I would have thrown for the overage category now wouldn't necessarily have come from one of the big clubs, wouldn't have necessarily been a name that people would associate with it. But even Tony, obviously, had a fantastic season helping Brentford get to the Premier League at 25 years of age. Would have obviously fitted into the team, and I think his performances would have maybe deserved that. But
imagine that as well. Like you get your team into the Premier League, your reward is to go to the Olympic Games. Mate, like what your life would change dramatically. You're now an Olympian and a Premier League player.
You're in the shop window as well.
Yeah.
And obviously didn't really get much of a chance at Newcastle, but he definitely turned his career around at Brentford. So, and yeah, talking of Brentford, obviously we had Lucas cycle to Brentford's ground, didn't he? As one of the 20 that he recently did. So
definitely, yeah, check that out on our Facebook page at Rep Noise. Check out all of Lucas's cycles to the top teams in English football, all based in London. 20 of them with the bonus video of Wembley as well. And raising money for shelter. So if you're interested in checking out those fun videos and helping out for a great cause, then please check those out. And the link will be in the description of this video and all of the videos that Dan has just mentioned there. Right, okay. We got to go for, I don't want to be that guy and say Arsenal players, but Nelson is an incredible talent that has been kind of pushed back by the fact we've had Saka and pushed back by the fact we've had Smith Rowe. Like Nelson was the guy everyone thought. Nelson and Nketiah were the two youth prospects we were all excited about 2 years ago. But then going on your point of form, for exactly that reason, same reason why Maitland-Niles and Arsenal front didn't get picked either, is because he didn't have a great season last season. So Nelson has been playing. He's not a game time. So for that, I'm sadly happy to drop him.
So the other name that I would go for potentially, and it's going to be a bit out there because obviously it's not one of the Premier League's big hitters. He's not even a Premier League player, but it was a man who scored 28 league goals in 40 league games with 5 assists for Blackburn last season, and that man being Adam Armstrong. Also got one goal in 2 League Cup games as well. So bringing his record last season to 29 goals, 5 assists in 43 games in all competitions. And quite importantly, as we know, penalties, 14 out of 18 penalties scored in his career. So obviously penalties are always important. The strikers,
we were sadly reminded recently.
That's another option. I mean, I'll throw that option in. Obviously it's not one of the big Premier League names.
That's it. And you don't want to dismiss people just because they're not in the Premier League. But, Blackburn, they're great numbers for him. But if Blackburn, they're finishing in the lower half of the Championship, it's not like they got promoted because of him. You could argue that the team around him, obviously, are part of that as well. His numbers are great individually. And someone with lesser numbers, but in the Premier League, Jared Bowen at West Ham as well.
Yeah. Ollie Burke, Sheffield United as well.
This last spot is difficult, man.
I mean, you've got another wild card option would be Ben Woodburn from Liverpool.
Right, what have we covered in the striker? We've covered someone Welsh with
we've got
upcoming talent who plays in Europe. We've covered England's best underage goal scorer of all time. Not underrated.
Tammy Abraham. So we've got Tammy, who can be the big number 9 up there. You've got Eddie Nketiah, who's got obviously the speed and the goal scoring poaching thing. Rabbi Matondo, who is comfortable on the wings as well. So for me, it's a toss up really between And as I said, I mentioned before as well, Dwight McNeil, another one that can play on the wings, play up front. You know, he's been really good this season, supplying goals for Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes and Matic Vidra as well over at Turf Moor. Their happy place. I think McNeil, for me, is definitely going to be one that's in and around the England team in a few years' time, if not like coming up to it. But it's one of those positions that he plays where there's a lot of talent. So
yeah. But then you look at, and then that's the thing. You look at his stats, and again, it is the Premier League, so it's more difficult than the Championship. But he's got 2 goals in 36 games. So if we want goal scorer,
you got Armstrong, but then I think McNeil is more. What was his assist record? Because I'm guessing he plays more from the wings, doesn't he, as well?
Let's have a look. Assists.
He's not necessarily a centre forward.
He's got. Oh, that's overall. I'm trying to see what he got last year, but 5 assists last season. Yeah.
Okay. So, just one more that I'm having a quick look at now. Right, yeah, no, not a very good record there either.
All right.
For a striker, 27 games, 0 goals. That's a fantastic record.
Who was that?
Connor McLennan.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think we'll get him out of the pot then.
The other one, Brennan Johnson. Let me just quickly. Brennan Johnson. Didn't. Here we go. There's another option as well. Brennan Johnson, professional footballer, plays as an attacking midfielder / striker for Nottingham Forest and the Wales national team. Didn't go to the Euros. Made his Wales debut in a 0-0 draw against USA on the 12th of November 2020. He had a record last season playing on loan at Nottingham Forest. Lincoln City in League One, 40 appearances, 10 goals, scoring 1 in 2 in the FA Cup as well.
This is the thing, though. Can we really be taking someone that was playing in League One as well as they might have done to the Olympic Games?
Don't know.
Over players that play in the Premier League who play there for a reason. Do you know?
Yeah, it's true.
And the same with the Championship.
But then we're taking Charlie Adam, who plays in.
Yeah, but it's where he's been, man, what he's done.
Plays in Scotland, mate. Come on, that's pretty much League 2.
Ooh, I think we just lost the Scottish viewers. I don't know, man. That last one is really tough, actually. Who are you leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards. I think so. Okay. Now, from the start, I had Dwight McNeil on my list. Right. So my 3 were always McNeil, Matondo, and Abraham. They were the 3 that I felt like I was always going to pick. Adam Armstrong, having looked at his stats, I feel as though could be one that's there to kind of not necessarily, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, make up the numbers sort of thing.
Right.
But I feel as though he could be one of these where, he's sitting just behind Abraham and Nketiah, and if they get kind of injured, then he could be one of these that could come on, and do a job for you, get you a goal maybe. So in that sense, I guess Armstrong, but then McNeil would work if you're playing as, say, like if you're playing wingers, then he can play out on the wings as well. So
I think for me I'd probably go with the ones left, McNeil, and I see your case at Armstrong, and it could work out, but I think Bowen has more of a shout than him. So if you're not going Bowen, but you are going McNeil, and we're both kind of saying that, I think McNeil's probably the best one to put in there.
So we're going to go with Dwight McNeil from Burnley.
Hey, this is pressure.
As the final name. Yeah, apparently, so 2012, apparently Stuart Pearce had a big, massive pool of players to choose from, much like we did. He apparently texted every single player on that list or wrote a letter to them and just asked them, would they want to be considered for the squad? He said a few of them wrote back and said no, or texted him back saying no. Didn't obviously consider those players. Then it was a case of trying to find from the clubs whether they wanted to release the players or not. And then eventually, obviously, he had the issue where the Scotland players said no. So obviously, the squad was made up.
Which we could have as well. But
yeah, to be fair, I mean, we've got what Charlie Adam, Charlie Adam,
and there was no Northern Ireland players either, was there? It was just England and Wales.
And Charlie Adam from Scotland in our team is the only one. So.
Well, I'm happy with the team we've got, and it's tough because it got really tough in the last kind of two sections of midfield and strikers. But I'm still happy with who we've got. I'm unhappy with a lot of players we've had to leave behind, but that's because again, there's a lot of great players. I mean, if we had this team going to the Olympics, I would be pretty excited to watch and to see what we could actually do. You know, I know a lot of people don't watch the Olympic Games for football like they might at the World Cup or the Euros or Copa America, but a lot of these teams do take it seriously. You know, I think if England had and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland had a kind of vested interest, then we'd watch it more over here. Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, like before, Neymar got the winning goal, which was seen as like revenge for the Germany game in the World Cup, because it was against Germany, you know, like they took it seriously. Team GB themselves, when it was just a great British Olympic team, you know, back in the day, we won a fair few of these titles before the World Cup was even a thing, you know, so it's a real shame that we don't kind of go forward for it. Like I said, we've got the women's team. If you want to see more of our Olympic coverage as well, there's also a video on this channel where I am reviewing this year's kit. Obviously, this is the fan kit, the training kit, whatever you want to call it, from 2012. But we've got our hands on the 2020 Team GB football shirt that the women will be wearing, because that team does exist. I thought this would be exciting, which it was, but at the end of it, I'm just thinking, wish we
who'd want to be a manager, eh?
Oh, don't do that. I don't want to get into that.
You're thinking like, imagine how Southgate must have felt. Yeah. Having to leave players behind, you know.
Oh, I thought you meant who would we pick for manager. I was like, oh, I don't want to get into that. But
Harry.
I read
gotta be Barry, innit? Barry Redcap.
Yeah, he's gonna be our manager. Okay, it was easier than I thought it would be, actually.
There we go. Harry Redknapp.
Very, very tough.
Or Alex Ferguson. There we go.
Oh, could you imagine that coming out of retirement for that? Oof, I think
it'd be the Scottish representation as well.
Yeah, even more. True. Should we go through our team then? Do you want to recap what we've got?
So the 22-man squad that we have chosen to represent Team GB at the Olympics are goalkeepers: Aaron Ramsdale from Sheffield United and England, Connor Hazard from Celtic and Northern Ireland, Bailey Peacock-Farrell, Burnley and Northern Ireland. In defence, we have gone with Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Man United and England, Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool and England, Jamal Lewis from Newcastle and Northern Ireland, Tyrick Mitchell from Crystal Palace and England, Joe Gomez from Liverpool and England, Ben Godfrey, Everton and England, Ezri Konsa, Aston Villa and England, and Fikayo Tomori of AC Milan and England. In midfield, we go with Emil Smith-Rowe of Arsenal and England, Joe Willock of Arsenal and England, James Maddison from Leicester and England, Mark Noble as an overage player from West Ham and England, another overage player in Charlie Adam from Dundee and Scotland, and James Ward-Prowse, the final overage player in the squad, from Southampton and England. We also went with Curtis Jones from Liverpool and England as the final midfielder. And up front, we are going with Rabbi Matondo from Schalke and Wales, Tammy Abraham from Chelsea and England, Eddie Nketiah from Arsenal and England, and Dwight McNeil, Burnley and England.
And our manager, Harry Redknapp.
And the gaffer, England. Harry Redknapp, driving his little car with the little football on top into the centre circle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been fun, man. That's a good team. I'm pleased with what we come up with. Let us know in the comments who you would have gone with. Obviously, try not to go too far away from the rules that we put in here, because it's easy to say Tierney should have gone and and Bale should have gone, but we're trying to keep it a bit more realistic here. Yeah, let us know who would you do. Maybe someday we'll do an all-star team of the nations that don't kind of have to fit into this Olympic kind of ruling. Maybe we'll do something like that in the future. If you guys are interested, let us know in the comments below, and we'll definitely get onto that kind of stuff in the future. Once again, I've been Scott. This has been Dan. We are the Rebellious Noise Football Channel, a brand new football channel from Rebellious Noise. So if you are a fan of what you see here on RNFC, then please subscribe, like the video, comment down below, share it to your friends, your family, and your enemies. And yeah, we'll see you here in the future. We've been doing so many England videos, mate, signing off with things like "it's coming home." What do we say? Like, there's not as much of an identity, you know, around like GB team, you know. So what do we say?
It's coming home. We're going for gold, and it's coming.
That's
home.
it. We're going for gold. We're going for
There we
gold. All right. Well, maybe, but
meaning we'll probably lose out on penalties and get a silver.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll be watching, even though we're not in it. If you support other teams and are in it, check that out as well, man. Like, there's some great stories in Olympic football. Kanu and the Nigerians, you know, like check out what happened there. It's great. Yeah, and check out more of Olympic football, because I think it's going to be it's going to be fun. So we'll see you in the future, and yeah, that's it for now.
Take care. See you later.